Letting go has helped me to lose over 70 pounds on a low dose of GLP-1 medication. And today, I'm going to talk about how I made all of that possible. Before we dive in, it is important that you know that I am not a medical provider, nor do I pretend to be one. Please consult with your own medical provider to help you on a plan that is tailored just for you. All of these videos that you see that I do here on my channel are for entertainment and really just talk about my personal journey and what has worked for me. I am specifically making this video or talking to people who are on a GLP-1 medication for weight loss and not those who are taking these medications for type 2 diabetes. This absolutely does not apply to you. So, however, if you are on Tirzepatide, Zepbound, Wegovy, semaglutide for weight loss, then this video is for you. In order for us to really get into how I remain on a low dose of Tirzepatide, let's go all the way back to the beginning. I actually started on a lower dose of compounded Tirzepatide than what is standard. So if you're starting on Zepbound, which is the name brand medication for Tirzepatide, the typical starting dose is at 2.5 milligrams. Well, back in April of 2024, I'm not even gonna lie, I was definitely scared of this medication. I know that I don't take a lot of medication, so I was really concerned that I would maybe overreact or have some negative side effects. So with that, I worked with my medical provider. And at the time, I was with the med spa. I know that we hear horrible things about med spas, but in some cases, if it's the right med spa, it can be okay. I worked with my medical provider. I expressed to my provider how concerned I was to start off on the medication. I was really concerned because I had read in the news media and on YouTube and different things about how the medication was having really negative side effects for people, and I really did not want that to happen to me. So after speaking with my medical provider, she decided, well, let's not start you on 2.5. Let's take you a little bit lower than that. How do you feel about starting on 2.0? And so I said, okay, I will do that. And so I started on 2.0, and pretty much immediately, I would say within about 6 hours, I noticed that I wasn't hungry at all. But other than that, I didn't really have any negative side effects. Like I wasn't nauseous or any of the things that you hear so much about. However, I noticed right away that it definitely had an impact on my hunger. I knew at that point that at least that low dose was working. So I stayed on that for the first week. I will have to tell you, I actually gained weight on my first week. It wasn't because of the Tirzepatide. This is going to have to be another video, and it also leads into why I do things the way that I do now. But I knew the medication was working because I was not hungry, and so I went on another week of the 2.0, and then I implemented a plan, and that second week I lost 4 pounds. Since this time, I have gone up in dosage, and I go up periodically, and we can talk definitely in another video about how I know when it is time to titrate up. But this whole time, I started, like I said, I started way back in April of 2024. And if you're watching this video now, we're in January of 2025. I've lost 70 pounds. And all of this has happened, and I am just now reaching 5 milligrams, which, according to some, that is still a loading dose. However, like I said, I've lost 70 pounds, so it is definitely possible. One of the ways that I've been able to do this is because I am on a compounded Tirzepatide. Now, if I were taking the name brand of Zepbound, which is the injection through the pen, they have pre-prescribed doses. So you go from 2.5 to 5 to 7.5 to 10, then it's 12.5, and then up to 15, which is the highest dose. Because I'm not taking that, I'm taking my dosage through a vial, a needle and a vial. I am able to work with my medical provider to control that dose. So when I do feel the need that I need to titrate up for whatever reason, mainly because of like maybe not having any appetite suppression at all is what has made me go up in the past, I will only titrate up, let's say, zero point 0.5 milligrams. So after I was on 2 for a little while, then I titrated up to 2.5, and I stayed on that for several weeks, and then I titrated up to 3, and then 3.5, staying on that for several weeks. At the beginning of October, I think I was 3.5, and now I'm just starting to get into the 5 milligram range. If you're taking a GLP-1 medication, what is your experience with starting doses and titration? Please drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your experience. These medications, the GLP-1 medication, more specifically for me, compounded Tirzepatide, has definitely helped me to manage my hunger and my cravings. However, because I am on a low dose, I absolutely still get hungry. And I pretty much have from the beginning. Like, I hear people say that they don't want to eat at all when they're taking Tirzepatide or Zepbound or Mounjaro or semaglutide. I hear people say sometimes that they don't want to eat at all. And I will say when I first got on it, maybe for the first day or two, I was a lot less hungry. I would say more for me, it helps me with my cravings. So what I mean by that is I don't crave like sweets, for example, the way that I used to. I haven't had any alcohol. I think I've had like one drink, and that was kind of like forced upon me. I won't say forced upon me. What it was is a friend of mine made some drinks at a party, and I felt a little bit obligated to try the drink, but then I gave the rest of it to my husband. So anyway, I don't have like a taste for alcohol. There are like plenty of studies out there that show that they are looking at these medications to help people who have alcoholism as well, because it really helps you to not like crave certain things. So for me, that has definitely been the biggest benefit. And with that, I've been able to definitely concentrate more on what I'm eating. And so what I try to eat is I try to eat between 100 to 150 grams of protein each day. I drink about 90 ounces of water every day, and I get in my fiber. Managing hunger is definitely a part of this journey. I do want to say, I used to say when I first started this journey and have lost about 30 pounds, one of the things that I used to always say was that my only regret with starting this medication is that I didn't start sooner. I now don't say that so much anymore because I feel like there's so much more information now out there about this medication, and I'm glad that I've been able to learn from other content creators and other people who are on this type of a journey. Some people, when they got on, they were told, you have to titrate up immediately. Like, you stay on 2.5, I think, for like 2 weeks, and then you titrate up to 5, and then you stay on that a month, and you titrate up. And now we are learning more about how that's not necessarily true, and that if you're responding to the medication, meaning that if you have some appetite suppression and you're losing weight, that you don't necessarily need to titrate up. So though I don't know, I don't think that I have like the appetite suppression to the level that some of the people do who are on higher levels. I know that I have been steadily losing this whole entire time that I've been on this medication, and one of the reasons why I've kept my dose low. With that, as I mentioned a little bit earlier, I have to manage the hunger. I do think that there is a plus, a benefit to having to manage my hunger, and I have to fight for it sometimes. Sometimes I'm very hungry and I have to go back to the tools that I mentioned earlier. Did I eat my protein for the day? Did I have I had enough water for today? What else can I do besides eat or take more medication that's going to help me through? And I appreciate that actually, because I think in the long run, it will help me as I continue to go on this journey of maintenance. I have said in earlier videos, I believe that I will probably be on a GLP-1 medication in some form of fashion for the rest of my life. I look at it as a medication like someone might take if they have high blood pressure or something like that. I have suffered with the disease of obesity. I suffer, let me say, I have the disease of obesity. I at one point was definitely not metabolically well, and I feel like these medications are helping me get there. But with that being said, I plan to be on it for the rest of my life, but I also plan to have a lifestyle change, and I have had a lifestyle change, and I plan to keep that going, and that is what I eat, how I drink, how I move. So here are some other things that have helped me, some other habits, I should say, that have contributed to my success so far. The other one is movement and strength training. When I first started out, like one of the things that I made myself do actually before I got on the GLP-1 medication was start some sort of movement routine. Now, I do want to let you know at that point in time, I was 251.8. So we might as well just say 252 pounds at that time when I started. So movement wasn't really something that I really wanted to do. When you're that overweight, it can be hard. One of the things that I made sure that I did before I started this medication was to do some form of movement. And actually, what helped me to do that was at the time I was working at my job, and my company allowed for us to have a coach. And we were able to work with our coach on work stuff, our personal stuff. And so my coach was really good about like, let's work one thing with work and then one thing you want to accomplish in your personal life. And so for me, I was just like, I gotta do something. This was before I was on GLP-1. And I was like, I gotta do something. I gotta like lose this weight. And so she just really instilled in me, mind you, she is not a fitness coach, but she said, do 10 minutes. And she gave me like 3 exercises that I could do. And actually, I could do them in less than 10 minutes. But she's like, if you just do these 3 exercises, you'll want to do more. They were like compounded exercises, which I will definitely share. But that helped me to get started. So I started, I was super weak. Like I could hardly lift anything. It would tire me out so quickly. But I was able to tell myself, you have 10 minutes every day that you can dedicate to moving your body. So that is one of the things that I did. I started moving my body 10 minutes each day doing a strength training. And that is one thing that I made sure that I was doing regularly and consistently before I even got on a GLP-1 medication, because I had learned the horror stories about how these medications make you lose muscle. That is false, by the way. Anytime you're on a weight loss calorie deficit, you stand the chance of losing muscle. And in order to be able to protect that muscle that you're losing, it is vitally important that you do some form of strength training. So in addition to strength training, I also walked, and I walked really slow at first. I am much better now, but I walked really slow at first, and I would start out for like walking 15 minutes and then 20 minutes. I guess my point is start small. One of the things that I did, a habit that I've changed, is education. So I know people who started this journey with me, actually, and they started on this medication, and you really have to, like, you don't know how you're going to respond to this medication when you start it. Like, some people have no side effects, and some people, they might not lose any weight, they might not have any hunger suppression, and then other people have hunger suppression from the start. They might have side effects from the very beginning. and the side effects may be really harsh to them. And sometimes, if it doesn't feel like it's working, so I've seen kind of two classes. Like, they get on the medication, they're not having any appetite suppression, and they're not losing any weight, or they get on the medication and it's really making them very sick. And so they have that hunger and appetite suppression, but it's because they're sick. And so what will happen is they will just give up on the medication. And so one of the things I feel like that has definitely contributed to my success is educating myself. Any video that was coming out about a GLP-1 medication, I was watching the news. I probably knew way more than I needed to, but in from me watching these different segments, I've been able to see now, and mind you, on the internet, you don't want to just take what everyone has to say. Again, I'm not a medical provider, and neither are half these people on the internet. And even if they are not your medical provider. So you have to be really careful in the information that you take in and then take action upon. But so for me, it was more, I would listen to different people and different points of view, and I would take what would work for me and take that into account. So for me, one of the people that I follow is Dr. Tina. I can't remember her last name right now, but I will definitely put her information, up. And she really talked about like low dosing. And so, as I had mentioned before, like when people first started this medication, it was like titrate up on the schedule. And she really talked about like how you can be really successful in this on a low dose. Now, I will say for me, I definitely probably consider myself, I don't know if it's a hyper responder or a quick responder, but I definitely started like losing weight once I got my stuff together right away. And I have been steadily losing weight since. And I know that that is not the case for everybody. But if it is the case for you, then you don't necessarily need to titrate up on any type of set schedule. And I think that we are learning now, as we are learning more about these medications, that you don't have to. There are plenty of people out there who I've watched who have stayed on 2.5 the entire time and lost their entire amount of weight that they wanted to lose, or they never got above 5.0 milligrams and they've lost the weight that they wanted to. So it is really important to stay educated on what's going on. Before we end, I really want to talk to you about, I've learned some benefits that I feel like I've had with staying on a low dose of GLP-1 medication. The first benefit that I feel like I've had is hunger management. So yes, that is a benefit because I have had to learn how to deal from day one with hunger management. If something happens and I have to go off of this medication for whatever reason, I don't feel like I will be in foreign territory when hunger hits. I know for a lot of people, like even just being hungry can feel so scary. And I get it. However, I've learned through some of the habits that I've built in this journey how to help with my hunger management. And that's what I stated earlier, by the macronutrients that I eat each day and by drinking water. I've had to manage it with other tools besides the GLP-1 medication. So I definitely feel like that is a benefit. Secondly, I'll say fewer side effects. I have had a few side effects, but nothing that is too extreme or nothing that would even make me even consider giving up or stopping this medication. So I think that, sometimes people in the past are having side effects and they still move up in dose. Don't do that. Talk to your healthcare provider, but I really wouldn't do that. And if you can, like I would talk to my healthcare provider and let them know that I am still experiencing side effects. I might even ask if I could go back a dose. and work through the hunger management. I'd rather work through hunger management than to be like having some severe side effects. Now, some of the side, I do want to go over really quickly, like some of the side effects that I have had. One, I was cold, definitely like super cold in the beginning of this journey. I really haven't had like constipation. Sometimes it has been harder, but like I said, I managed that through fiber and then also taking magnesium. And I have had a minor headache here and there, but nothing that even made me have to like get any medicine or anything like that. I have also experienced some like skin sensitivity, not necessarily where I gave my shot. Like sometimes it might be another place, but it was just like a little, it's a weird feeling. I don't even know how to describe it. If you had skin sensitivity, talk to me about it in the comments because it is a little weird. I think another thing that, or number three, that it's helped me with is having to learn different habits very early on. Like, I think when some people get on this medication, you know, the medication is doing a lot of work, and it does do a lot of work. Don't get me wrong on that. But I think one of the things that I wanted to do was to really do a lifestyle change. Eli Lilly with the name brand Zepbound, as well as the compounding pharmacies, all tell us that we have to do lifestyle changes, that we should not rely on this medication alone. And so for me, really instilling those lifestyle changes from the beginning. One is the way I eat. Two is tracking my food and my movement. So just really making sure to get in those lifestyle changes. If you are on a GLP-1 medication, what has your experience been? Are you on a low dose? Have you titrated up? Please share your experience in the comments, as I am wanting to learn from you as well. In my next video, I will talk all about how I became somebody who loathed food tracking to somebody who loves it. So all about food tracking in my next video, and how I turned myself into someone who just would not do it to somebody who absolutely, I won't say that I love it, but I find it extremely useful. How about that? See you all later.